Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be sharing with you a requested video from our group chat on how to draft this stylish built-up neckline blazer blouse. To also join the group chat, you can just go ahead and leave a message at the comment section. And also, this dress is from Mega Couture on TikTok. So without much wasting time, let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern paper, and I've gone ahead to mark out my basic neckline, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and shoulder to waistline. The total length of my dress is 24 inches. Go ahead to add 1 inch or half for turn up allowance. So for this particular pattern, we are going to cut out the upper part of this dress first. After marking your shoulder to waist, go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2 and add ½ inch for the sleeve part of the dress. From that point, I'll be going down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Now I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to connect. After I'm done marking, I'll make sure that I have about 3 inches for a standard neckline, and I'll mark. Here I'll place my tape to find my chest line. To find your chest line is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I will go ahead to make a mark at that point. So after I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to place my tape again and mark what I have at the shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Now I'll place my ruler connecting from that point all the way to the upper part of the shoulder. Now after I'm done connecting this, I'll go ahead to draw out my armhole curve. To draw out your armhole curve, place your tape and you're going to fold what you have there into 2 and you mark. Come out by ½ inch at this point. Go ahead to place your bust circumference divided by 4 here, and you're going to connect all the way from the upper part to the armhole and to the upper part of your shoulder. So at the lower part, we'll start by marking our bust pan, which is our nipple to nipple divided by 2. And I'll go ahead, place my ruler and draw out a straight line. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5. For my dart intake, I'll mark 1 inch on both sides and I'll draw a straight line. If you're on the plus size or you're a bit busty, you should consider using 1.5 inches on both sides, making it a 3 inches dart. Mine is a 2 inches dart. Now, you're going to connect from the upper part to the lower part, and also from that point all the way to the under bust of your pattern this way. After I'm done marking that, I'll go in with my marker and I will connect. So this is what I have now. I'm going to go up by 2 inches, so use whatever you're comfortable with, 1.5, 2 inches or 2.5. Now I'll extend my dart lines to that point and I'll draw out a straight line to serve as a guide. Next, I'll be marking my dart intake and I'll be using that same 1 inch on both sides. For a plus size, you want to go in by 1 inch at this point and use 2 inches on the other side. You can as well use 1.5 inches on both sides. If you're also busty, you should also consider this. So I'll just go ahead and I will connect. After I'm done marking this, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to insert my body measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, measure this dart intake here, replace and add my sewing allowance. Mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake. I'll go ahead to replace it and add my sewing allowance. The next step is just to go ahead to connect this all the way to the bust, to the under bust and to the waistline. Go in with your marker and this will make your pattern a bit visible. Now I'll just go ahead and cut the unnecessary parts of this pattern. After I'm done cutting this, I'll go ahead to transfer all these measurements on the other side of my pattern and we'll work on the upper part. So also we are using a bust dart for this. To get your bust dart is the distance between your shoulder to waist in front and shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17 inches. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 inches. So I have a distance of 1.5 inches, which is my bust dart. So you can also decide not to use a bust dart on your own pattern. Do whatever that is comfortable for you. So from that point, we marked that 3 inches neckline on this part of my pattern. You're going to be marking another 3 inches from the other side of your pattern, which is from the center part of your pattern. That is 3 inches on both sides, which is your basic neckline. So from here, I'll come up by half or 1 inch, which will be serving as the collar, and I'll repeat this at the other side. So on this part of your dress, you're going to be going in by 0.5 inches or 0.25. After that, you're going to go ahead to reconnect your neckline. Also repeat it on the other side. Mark 0.25 or 0.5 starting from the neckline and reconnect. This is to make the neckline blend. So from that 1 inch on top, I'll be going in by 1 inch or 0.75, and I'll make like a curve at that point to draw out the built-up neckline. At this point, I'll also repeat the same process. You can go in by 1 inch or 0.75 inches. Now I'll go ahead to connect. To draw out the neckline at this part of the dress, I'll go ahead to place my tape starting from the shoulder point and go in by 3 inches. Then I'll create like a curve. You notice that there's a curve there, and from that point I'll extend it all the way to my neckline. On the neckline, you notice that there's a little curve, and you're going to just draw that out, connect it to your chest line or armhole. Your armhole is also your chest line. So I'll also go ahead and repeat the same process. From my shoulder point, I'll measure 3 inches and create like a curve, and then connect it all the way to the lower side or the chest line. So make sure that what you have on both shoulder matches or are similar to each other. If not, just go ahead and use one pattern for the upper part. So after I'm done cutting this out, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to mark it out to make it more visible for you to see. Next is to draw out the sweetheart neckline we have there. Looking at what we have, you notice that it is like a V. So I'll connect from the chest line all the way to that 2 inches on top, and from the side I'll connect to the chest line or armhole this way. So I'll just go ahead and use my marker to outline to make this more visible. So with this, we are done drafting the upper part of this pattern, and we are going to go over to work on the lower part of the pattern. So here you also want to take note of this measurement, which is about 5 inches. So now we're going to cut out this part. So remember, the full length of our dress is 24 inches and my shoulder to waist is 17 inches. So I'll place my tape at 17 inches and I'll mark the full length of my dress, which is 24 inches plus extra half inch for folding allowance or turn up allowance, and take note of this measurement. So we have 5 inches here. So looking at the thumbnail, you notice that the overlap did not get to the nipple to nipple point. It is half inch away. So now I'll be taking half inch on both sides. That half inch I'm taking out, I'll have 4 inches. So that 4 inches now I'll be marking 2 inches on both sides. 2 plus 2 will give you 4. So for my overlap, instead of making use of the full nipple to nipple point, I'm making use of 4 inches, and I'll divide it into 2 for both sides. So both sides will be getting to 2 inches. So from here now, you're going to mark your waist circumference divided by 4 and add. And after that, add your sewing allowance. Mark your hip circumference divided by 4 at the lower part and add your sewing allowance and connect. So if you notice, our measurement started immediately after that 2 inches we marked. So that 2 inches now is serving as the overlap for the blazer dress. So I'll cut here into 2 and I'll place it just to show you what I mean. So instead of using the exact measurement you have in between, you're just going to take out half inch on both sides. So placing my pattern, if you notice, I placed my pattern at the lower part at that 2 inches point, and then I'll also place the other one at that same point. You notice that the waistline will match, but I'll go ahead and cut this out so that you understand what I mean. So if you have any question, please leave it at the comment section. If you have any part that you don't understand, also leave it at the comment section. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section, and if you also want to join the group, go ahead to indicate. So before continuing, I just made this design to serve as the waltz pocket. You can just go ahead to make a design or actually create a waltz pocket for this. So you notice that we have a button. So what you're going to do now for this part of the dress, here actually you're going to join this part together as one piece before joining it to the upper part of the dress. But for this side that has a button, you're just going to attach this other button, and for the other side you're going to actually create like a buttonhole so that you can pass the button. So one has an actual buttonhole and the other side is just a button that was attached. So you're going to join the lower part as one piece and then go ahead to join it together with the upper part of the dress. So now moving to the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements, and if you notice, I have 1 inch on top, which will serve as the built-up collar. I also have about 1.5 inches in front before my pattern. This is my zipper allowance, which is the only difference I have between the front and the back. And also, if you notice, at my shoulder to waist line, it's shorter because my shoulder to waist line in front is 15.5 inches. This is why we have a difference of 1.5 inches for our bust dart, and I measured 7 inches plus extra half inch for sewing for the full length of the dress, giving me 24 inches plus half, 24.5. So now to work on the dress, I'll start with marking my nipple to nipple first, and which will start from my zipper allowance. After marking that, I'll go down by 4 inches after the waistline. To get your nipple to nipple point, you just have to measure it and divide it by 2. And after this, I'll be marking half inch on both sides of the waistline, come down by 1 inch, and I'll go ahead to connect and also connect on the other side. Extend this all the way to the lower part and to this part. And after I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to insert my body measurement. But first, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this to make it visible. So after I'm done outlining this, I'll go ahead to insert my measurements. All my measurements will start after the zipper line. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. Mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance because there's no dart at that point. And I'll just go ahead to connect this all the way to the lower part. After I'm done doing this, I'll mark half inch at the waistline, go ahead to connect it all the way down and to the upper part. This is to get rid of any bulginess at the back. You can also replace what you took out at the waistline, because this part of your dress at the zipper is supposed to be flat because your back part at the center is flat. I'll still come up by 1 inch from this point, go in, and I'll go ahead to go a bit lower at the back pattern to form the neckline of the back, and I'll extend it all the way to the zipper part of this dress. So this is how the back pattern is, very simple and easy. So after that, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave your comment at the comment section. So if you also want to join our group chat, you can also indicate at the comment section. Thanks.